Welcome to Building Texas with Justin McKenzie and Summer Babarek. Sponsored by the Boerne Kendall County Economic Development Corporation and Das GreenHaus. And now, here's your host, Justin McKenzie.
Welcome to Building Texas, where we sit down with the most interesting people who are making an impact in your community and getting involved, getting out there and understanding that Boerne is growing. And that is a reality. Texas is growing too. And how do we bring the two together? How does that impact you, and where can you get involved? Where can you make an impact on the growth of your city? Today, we're sitting down with Mayor Frank Ritchie. I'm appreciative of the time this morning and really want to give the audience an opportunity to get to know you. We see a lot of your writing. We hear a lot from you as mayor, but hopefully we can take a deeper dive into who you are and why positivity is such a big part of your message. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know about how interesting I am, but we'll see. So a little bit about me. I've been in Boerne for about 25 years. My wife's a Boerne graduate, 1995, Greyhound. So we bleed purple through and through, but we love the Chargers also. And so I have 3 kids. My son, Walker, and I have a daughter, Carly. Walker runs my automotive business right now. My daughter Carly is a junior, going to be a senior this fall at Tarleton University in Stephenville. Reminds her of Boerne. And then I have a 10-year-old also, and so still living the school kid life at Herff Elementary and loving the BISD school system. And so my wife's an ICU nurse who works at Maine Methodist and works at the Tavern clinic. And so she's from Boerne, like I said, and we made Boerne our home, and we just think it's a wonderful community, and we're just thankful to be a part of it.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of it. And then I appreciate your willingness to serve. Going into a mayoral election and making the decision to run for office is a big decision for a family unit. It is a commitment to run, and then it's a commitment to serve for the period. It's a 2-year serve in the role here. But how did that decision come to be? What prompted you to run for mayor, and then what did you learn through that process?
So it's really an interesting story. I posed a question on social media about the upcoming election. I'm always concerned about growth of Boerne, the future of Boerne, because I have kids, and my son has a 7-month-old daughter, so I have grandchildren that will be growing up and being part of Boerne. And so I always want to make sure that our community is moving forward in a way that's positive and stays. But what I can say is Boerne, right? And that hometown feel, that love your neighbor type of vibe that attracts so many people to Boerne, the welcoming part of Boerne. And so I posed a question, and then out of that question, several people spoke up to, hey, well, why don't you run for mayor, Frank? And, you're known in the community, and you've got a good reputation. And I kind of laughed it off. And so, it's like, I'm not a politician, and then it kind of started snowballing from that. A lot of people in the community started coming by the shop, asking me if I really was thinking about it, if I would, please do, that type of thing. And so it talked about it with my wife. We sat down, we prayed about it. I met with my Bible study group, and we prayed about it and talked about it. And I'm also a pastor at my church, at Spring Creek United Methodist Church. And so one thing I try to do in my life is look where the Lord's leading me. And I said, so God, if this is where you're leading me, make a way. I said, this is where you want me to serve next, then make a way. And so with that in mind, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to trust in you. And so I'm not going to campaign. I'm going to trust the community support and say, hey, if the community wants something different and the community thinks I'm the right guy, then the community will speak out and make a way. And that's really what happened. I did zero campaign funding. I didn't receive any donations. I said, I was kind of a grassroots type of thing from the community. And here we are, almost 4 months later. And so thankful for the community that they put their faith and their trust in me. And so moving forward as mayor of Boerne, my goal is to keep Boerne and keep Boerne united as a community as a whole moving forward, that there's so many good things in this community. And as growth comes and change comes, which is inevitable, everything changes in life. And so I want to make sure that we're respectful of our community and its members and brothers and sisters here, that we do it smartly and we do it in a way that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate that approach to managing the growth of Boerne. And really, to me, it's a culture management. It's managing the conversation around growth. Before the show started, you mentioned your business. You take a similar approach to business as you did to your campaign.
Absolutely.
It's word of mouth, it's trust, it's proven results.
Correct.
Is that the approach you take in life in general?
Yeah, pretty much. My wife would say I'm a positive Pete, right? There's always good out there. You just got to be willing to look for it. And so the same approach with my business. I said, I don't advertise my business. I mean, the business supports the community, but there's no website. There's nothing like that. It's always word of mouth, customer referral. And I'm under that premises. If we're not doing a good job, then the parking lot won't be full. And that means we need to change our practices. And so I take that approach in everything of life. At the end of the day, I am a business owner. I'm the mayor of Boerne, but I'm more importantly for me, I'm a child of God. And so when I lay my head on the pillow, I don't look at how people view me. I look at how I'm viewed in the eyes of God. And so I want to hear those words, well done, good and faithful servant. And some days I do, and some days I don't. But yeah, I want to make sure that we move forward as you said, cultural community. We don't lose that culture of Boerne moving forward as we grow. And I think that's the heart of Boerne. It's a wonderful place in the hill country, but it's really the people of Boerne that make Boerne Boerne.
Well, to that end, I want to thank the people here at the Richter building, where we're the first recording inside of the new Boerne Radio 103.9 FM studio at the Richter Tavern. If you haven't been by here, come support Cork and Keg and Richter and take a look into the radio studio where we're recording this morning. And I think the work that Boerne Radio does, that Baron Wiley does to go out and make Boerne visible is a key part to helping people understand what is Boerne, why is Boerne so special, and how to get involved. So I appreciate your approach, and then want to take it a little bit further and say, in the last 4 months, what's jumped out at you? What has been the thing that you see from citizens that you say, I need to address this?
So, I mean, obviously the statement answer or the typical answer is going to be, water conservation, traffic and control and manage growth, right? But what stuck out to me is the sincerity and the honest concern for the community, from the community, right? The people that are concerned about Boerne moving forward as a community and as a city in the hill country are genuinely have good hearts and have their minds and thoughts in the right places. They really want what's best for this community. And so there is still that vibe of Boerne where we want to love and protect one another. And so I love that. But also knowing that the city, right, the as a whole, as the entity itself, Boerne is unique because it has its own utilities, right? Its own municipalities. And so being able to manage that is a big task, and to look and see over the last few months how well the city manages all that it does is really, really impressive.
I appreciate that we're doing that. You're listening to Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. I'm sitting here with Mayor Ritchie, and we're talking really about what makes Boerne unique and special, and the role that he has coming in as mayor. I've interviewed Ben in the past, Ben Thatcher, the city manager, and I really appreciate the work that the city staff does. It is a big business, and there's a lot of moving parts to everything in the city. But it is also a relationship with the county and other entities and helping the public understand those services. So I want to dive a little bit into how do we find that balance? And let's start with, what's the role of the mayor?
On a typical day, for the mayor, it's overseeing what's going on in the community. But the role of the mayor, honestly, in my opinion, is public servant, right? I will do ribbon cuttings. I will do social events, check on the state of the city, stuff like that. There's some official roles. I don't have a vote on council because we are a governed city by the council. And so I don't have a vote, but I do have some say and some input what goes on in the community. But I think for me, my role is to hear the voice of the community and see the pulse of the community, and then pass that on and make sure that our governing council is listening to those individuals and making decisions for the future Boerne that impacts those citizens directly, and making sure that they're wise and good decisions. And so there'll be some documents I need to sign, some proclamations I need to sign. And so, but in the end, for me, it's really about trying to get all the entities of Boerne as a governing body, like the BISD, the county and the county court and the city commissioners and the city council, working together, for the betterment of Boerne and for Kendall County. And so I think moving forward, my role is just want to be a facilitator to know that we're working together to make Boerne better than it ever has been. And so, I've been intentional in making sure I not only respond to people in the city, but also those people in the county that reach out to me. I want to make sure that they know that they have a Boerne address. And so for me, they're Boerne.
That's an interesting part, because that that is part of the concern in the conversation is really, where do you get your services? Do you live inside the city limits? If you do, you're serviced by the city. If you don't, you're served by the county, and it looks a little bit different. But I think your point is we're all Boerne, and how do we bring that together and build some synergy around it?
Correct. Right. Yeah. We are governed in different ways, right? So if you're in a county, right, there's county regulations and guidelines that you have to follow. Right. And when you're in the city, there's different city regulations. We adopted the UDC, and so that's a different policy that the city has that compared to county legislation and regulation. But even worse than that, or not worse than that, but even more than that, is that, we also have state regulations that we have to abide by. And not only are sometimes more restrictive on us, but also they limit what control the city and the county have even together. And so trying to manage all of that together and get those two entities, the three entities, and together working with the state can be taxing and can be quite frustrating at times, honestly.
It's interesting. I don't know, a lot of the people that have moved here, let's say in the last 5 years, I don't know that they realize that Main Street is a state highway. And so we were talking earlier about things like the parade routes. That's a bigger undertaking for the city than just the city saying, oh, yeah, we're going to shut down a street.
Exactly, right. That speaks back to the point that I was just saying about we also are beholden to Texas Slater and state laws and other entities in the state. And so, like, for us to do a parade, right, that's a TxDOT highway if we want to go down Main Street. And so we have to get permission and permitting from them and, apply for all that type of stuff. And so it's not that we can just, close down Main Street and have a parade when we want to type of situation. And so, and that kind of parlays into the entire idea of governing the city, right? We have to make sure that we're not breaking any rules or regulations that are outside our purview, whether it's county level or city level up to the state level. And so, again, it's kind of taxing when you look at everybody that's got hands in play in situations. But I think the city and the county working together moving forward is important. And I think that's something that we're looking forward to doing and making sure that as we grow, as the Kendall County grows, the state of Texas grows, that we're using best practices and we have our brothers and sisters here in Boerne at the heart of every decision that we make.
You're listening to Mayor Ritchie on Boerne Radio 103.9. My name is Justin McKenzie, and this is Building Texas. When we come back from the break, I want to dive into the entrepreneurial side of Mayor Ritchie and understand how he started his business. This is Justin McKenzie from Building Texas. Today's segment is brought to you by Das GreenHaus. Das GreenHaus is a business incubator launched here in Boerne to serve our local community. Das GreenHaus is a place where you can come to grow your idea. Our goal is to make Boerne accessible to people who are looking to grow a business, expand a business, or learn more about what's out there in their community and get involved. Visit us at dasgreenhaus.org or come visit us at 7 Upper Balcones Road, Boerne, Texas. Das GreenHaus. Welcome back to Building Texas on Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. My name's Justin McKenzie, and I'm sitting here with Mayor Frank Ritchie, and we're talking about the complexity of being a mayor inside of a community that it really is a region. You're talking about Boerne, Kendall County, Comfort, Sisterdale, Kendall, all of that combined. And a lot of those addresses are still Boerne addresses. So people associate that they're in Boerne and look for services from Boerne.
Absolutely.
Which has pros and cons. They do all of their grocery shopping in Boerne, which is good. They do a lot of their business and restaurants and stuff in Boerne, but then they go out into the county, and that brings challenges to our interlocal relationships and how we build together. Closing out the conversation around city government and county government, where do you see over the next 2 years? What's the big goal that you want to put in front of everyone you're working with, including the citizens that you're serving?
Well, I think for me, the goal that I want to see is unity. I want to see the three major players of Boerne, which I consider to be Kendall County, the city staff and its personnel, and BISD working together, moving forward as a community. Because everything that happens with our schools happens to the city. Everything that happens in the city happens to the county. Everything that happens in the county happens to everybody, right? So we're all tied together. And so I think the best way moving forward is that we all work together and we look at situations and we are willing to come to the table and have discussions. We may not all agree, but we can agree to disagree. But at some point we have to come to a consensus where what's best for the community, what's best for the community of Boerne, those in the city and also in the county moving forward. What does that look like? Because I don't think it benefits anybody if we're at odds.
Well, I can get behind that goal and really want to encourage anyone listening to get involved and go to the websites and ask the questions, come to the forums. You've been very open in your mayoral blogs or vlogs that you're doing. You're talking a lot about what's happening and trying to help educate people. So I appreciate you taking that approach of communicating and being transparent out to the citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of my blogs have been about what's positive, right? I'm a self-proclaimed positive person, and it takes a lot to get me on the negative side of life. And so I want to make sure that stays front and center of who we are as a community, because there is a lot of positives of the community of Boerne. And so, but also moving forward that as in the next few years, as we go together as Boerne, that we do things with everybody's thoughts and concerns addressed, right? And so one of the things that I've been intentional about is responding to concerns and cares that come to me, whether it be an email, whether it be a phone call, whether it be a social media text, making sure that I address those, that people have a voice and that they want that voice heard. And I found a lot in the community that people just don't know what they don't know. And so that being said, is we're looking at launching, changing our website, getting more interactive with the community, but there's a lot of great information. The city has done a wonderful job on the website. And so I would say 50% of the stuff that I address can be addressed if people are willing to go to the website and just make a few clicks and dig a little deeper. But if they have those concerns or those questions, feel free to email me, feel free to reach out to me, because again, I want to make sure that the information that's going out there is truthful and informative and makes, I think, a more informed community is a better community.
Couldn't agree more. And I'd encourage you to understand who your county commissioner is, understand who your city councilman is, and where you fall into who you should reach out to.
Absolutely.
But know that the mayor is always someone you can reach out to, and he'll put you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I said this before. I said, if I don't know who that person is, or if I don't know the answer, I'm willing to do the work to find you, to get you in contact with that right person, or get you that right information.
Well, as we sit down with Frank Ritchie, the business owner, I want to understand more about, you got here because your wife is a Greyhound graduate. I'm a Greyhound graduate as well. So good job, Boerne. But she brought you back here and you started an auto repair business, Ritchie Automotive. We are an entrepreneurial show and we want to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem here around how do we find business owners that are ready to launch and build something different. In your case, I'd love to hear what caused you to build Ritchie Automotive.
So I don't think we have enough time on a radio show for that, Justin. It's kind of a long story, but try to make it short. Is a friend of mine, a big business owner, not big business, but had lots of small businesses. Basically said, God was putting on his heart to start an automotive business and wanted me to run it. And he said, you know what? I know who you are. I know your character. I know your conviction. I know who you are as a Christ follower. And I think you'd be really good for the community of Boerne to have an automotive repair business that you would run. And so that was just a conversation on a Saturday morning breakfast in my men's group. And then lo and behold, a couple months later, he came to me and said, we're going to buy a business, and then that deal kind of fell through. And then another person in my men's group offered the same deal. And that's how Ritchie Automotive got born. I don't know. I don't say an act of God, but we prayed about it. And so, you don't get very many opportunities in life when someone's going to say, here's a building, here's a business, run it. And I know you're going to be successful, and if whatever help you need, I'm going to give you. And that's really how Ritchie Automotive got born. And to that point, I said from the very beginning, God, if you're going to give me this business and make it successful, then we're going to give back to you. We're going to give back to the community. We're going to make sure that we're a business that cares for others. And so that's our slogan. Ritchie Automotive, we care about your car, but we also care about you. And so it's about building relationships. I don't have a website. I'm not on the internet. If you're coming to Ritchie Automotive, it's because you were referred to us or we've done good work for you and you've trusted us over the years. And so to our point, we're 16 years in business now, and business is really good. So thank you, the community of Boerne, for supporting my business. And so, but we want to make sure that we're intentional of how we do our work, and make sure that if we're not doing good work, then it's going to be evident when the parking lot's not full. And right now the parking lot's full. So give all credit and all glory to God for that circumstance, but also making sure that whatever we do there, we try to honor Christ. And so you will know from the time you come in that that's our goal. From what's our mantra, our business slogan is Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men. And I've kind of adopted that mantra in my life. And so, so that's kind of how Ritchie Automotive got started. And like I said, we love the community of Boerne. We support the community of Boerne. And so from everything from where I order my parts, to my accountant, to my credit card processing machine, everything of that, all that business, my insurance person, everything is someone who works and lives in Boerne.
That's incredible. And one of the reasons I love Boerne is we have all of those people here.
Absolutely.
If there's something you need, there's someone in Boerne that can fill that need. And it's just a matter of getting to know your community and knowing where to ask. Men's groups are a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage anyone that wants to start a business. I mean, we have several different, there's GreenHaus that just started. There's the Economic Development Committee that looks out to reaching out, helping entrepreneurs. But just reach out in your community. Talk to someone, that you go play pickleball with, or someone that you go to church with. I mean, that's really how my business got started. And then I reached out. I said, hey, I need a local accountant, and someone said, well, here's somebody that's local to Boerne. And I said, how about credit card processing machine? Well, there's this guy, he's local. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that the people that support my business, I want my business to turn around and support back the community of Boerne. And so I'm intentional about, making sure that we support the schools, the festivals, the fundraisers, that type of stuff that's going on in Boerne. We're looking at hopefully maybe in the next year or two, bring back Burgess Fest. I was a director for that event for many years. And I think it's one of the great things about Boerne because it really brings the community together. And so, but as a business owner, I think it's important that we, as all business owners, make sure that we support our community through our local schools, our churches, our nonprofits. Boerne Chamber of Commerce is a great place to reach out to if you're trying to start a business and you need some help. Kim Blom is amazing there, and if she can't figure out who to get you in contact with, she will.
That is true. Kim has always been a great resource for me. Who in the community can I find that's doing this? And the chamber is a great resource with their 1,000 members, and they have a wide view of what's happening in Boerne, as does Amy Story at the EDC. And I talked to Amy in our original episode for the show, and she talks so much about being a connector. And I think that speaks not only to Amy, but to people in Boerne. They want to help. They want to connect you to someone that's going to be meaningful and make an impact.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing about not just a business owner, but about community is about building relationships. Relationships are what make a difference in people's lives. And if you want to be connected and grow in your business or just grow as a person, relationships for me is where it starts. My daughter would tell me all the time, like, they don't go to the store with me. She goes, because there's not a person that you don't stop and have a conversation with.
It takes twice as long to go to the grocery store when you know everybody.
That's true. But you know what? I love going to the grocery store because I get to see everybody that I know.
We're running short on time, but I want to make sure that we talk about this. And you made an intentional decision with your business not to have an online presence. Mm-hmm. With the city, you're making an intentional pivot in the city to be more informative, more forthright with information. How do you balance that with an idea of how can we put more out there, but then in your business, you don't have an online presence, and it's intentional.
Right. So it's intentional on both ways, right? Because my business is not a position for me to have that to say, right? Yeah. Whereas for a city, right, I'm beholden to my brothers and sisters that voted me. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that they get all the information that they need, and it's right and it's true, right? And giving them access to that information, because the decisions that are made at that level of one of my jobs impact a lot more people than the decisions that are made at Ritchie Automotive. Yep. Right. But at Ritchie Automotive, I believe that's more of a personal relationship for me, because I want to get to know my customers. I don't want a customer that walks in the door and then leaves. I want a customer that comes back, over and over again. I want to fix their cars. I want to fix their kids' cars. I want to make sure that, that they're safe when they're driving to A&M, or they're driving off to Tarleton University for school, you know what I mean? But at the same time, at the level, I want to take that same level of care and respect and love that I have for my customers, and I want to bring that to the city also, so that the community members know that they have that same feeling and trust in its leadership.
Well, I appreciate the work that you do, the way you serve your community, whether that's as the mayor, as a business owner, or as a pastor. I think those are all wonderful hats to wear, and making an impact in how you build Texas here locally and broader across Kendall County. So thank you so much for the time. And where do you want people to find out more about you? Like, what is it that you want people to know?
You know what? I'm kind of an open book, and I'm willing to talk to anybody. So if you want to know more about me, come find me at Ritchie Automotive, come find me at City Hall, see me downtown Boerne at one of the restaurants, come up and talk to me and have conversations. Email me. Like I said, I'm not afraid of conversation, but I love relationships. I love meeting people. As we're sitting here doing this show, 6 or 7 people have walked past the glass and waved, and I know them, and that just warms my heart to know that as a community that we know one another and that we have these relationships that matter, because moving forward, that's really all that you have at the end of the day is the relationships that you can carry forward with you.
This is Building Texas on Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. We sat here with Mayor Ritchie today. We got to know him, his heart, and the way he serves, and very much appreciate the impact that you're having in the way that you're building Texas.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate for having me on. I appreciate everything that you guys do for Boerne Radio and for the community of Boerne. So thank you very much.
Every week you'll learn more about what's being built so that you can understand the vision, find helpful resources, and know how to get involved. This is Building Texas, where we sit down with the most interesting people who are making an impact locally and statewide. Join us every Saturday at 9:30 right here on Boerne Radio. This is Justin McKenzie from Building Texas. Today's segment is brought to you by Das GreenHaus. Das GreenHaus is a business incubator launched here in Boerne to serve our local community. Das GreenHaus is a place where you can come to grow your idea. Our goal is to make Boerne accessible to people who are looking to grow a business, expand a business, or learn more about what's out there in their community and get involved. Visit us at dasgreenhaus.org or come visit us at 7 Upper Balcones Road, Boerne, Texas. Das GreenHaus.